The fall of Safe Haven. The story before the fracture. Before Aethera broke, before timelines splintered and survival became myth, there was hope. That hope lived in Safe Haven, a city built to stand against the chaos that had already begun creeping across dimensions. It was the last age of peace before the world turned into a battlefield of fractured realities. It was also where the story of the primes, of love and loss, and of the world's unraveling truly began. The early setup, the bleed begins. The first signs of dimensional instability appeared quietly in the early 2000s. Physicists spoke of quantum interference, prophets whispered of thinning veils, and the stars themselves began to flicker out of rhythm. The phenomenon became known as the dimensional bleed, the slow unraveling of the boundary between worlds. In this uncertain age, Crispus, a scholar warrior of the Nephilim lineage, became the anchor for those who still believed humanity could control the chaos. He mentored a brilliant young engineer named Arbed, teaching him not only the science of the rifts, but the discipline needed to face what lay beyond them. Under Crispus's guidance, Arbed would later become the architect of the Citadel, humanity's final fortress. As the bleed worsened, two new figures began to rise. Samuel, a strategist with an unbreakable will, and Lucille, a healer whose resonance could calm entire anomalies. Their bond was immediate and magnetic, something beyond human comprehension. Both carried the unmistakable energy of primes, fate-marked individuals whose presence could shape time itself. The catalyst, the Safe Haven era. Safe Haven was more than a sanctuary. It was a symbol of what humanity could build, even when the edges of reality began to fray. Within its domes, peace reigned for nearly a decade. Factions coexisted, research advanced, and the first generation of unified governance was born under the protection of the primes. The culmination of this era came with the Joint Prime Ascension, a rare celestial convergence that amplified the resonance of all primes across the world. It was both a spiritual ceremony and a declaration of unity. To mark the event, Samuel and Lucille stood together not only as leaders, but as partners, their wedding merging the physical and metaphysical into a single moment of hope. But hope always draws attention. During the ceremony, a dark intervention struck. An unknown enemy faction, operating through corrupted dimensional channels, forced open a demon portal directly above Safe Haven. The rift tore through the sky like an open wound, spewing chaos and shadow into the heart of humanity's strongest city. The Ascension became a battlefield in an instant. Crispus's last stand. As Safe Haven descended into fire and madness, Crispus made his final choice. He invoked the forbidden ritual of the Portal Guardian, a bond that allowed him to channel an ancient celestial entity capable of confronting the horror that had emerged. The being he faced was a catastrophe-class demon, a creature powerful enough to collapse entire dimensions into themselves. The battle raged across sky and stone. Crispus, glowing with borrowed divinity, struck the creature down in a final act of defiance. But victory carried a cost. Channeling the Guardian consumed him completely. His body became the seal that closed the rift, and his soul became part of the fabric that held Aethera together. Safe Haven was saved, but its protector was gone. The turning point, the abduction of Lucille, the aftermath was not peace. In the weakened calm that followed, chaos found its opening. During the reconstruction, a splinter faction of the enemy launched a covert assault. Their target was Lucille, whose power as a prime had been amplified to unprecedented levels during the Ascension. She was taken through a hidden rift, vanishing into the fractures of time and space. Her disappearance shattered Samuel. The man once known for his unwavering resolve began to unravel. His grief became obsession, and his obsession became purpose. He turned his pain into motion, vowing to rebuild, to fight, and to one day bring her back. This was the moment the meta-conflict began, the fracture that would ripple across all timelines, drawing the surviving primes, App Citadel project, and the remnants of humanity into a war that transcended space and time. The symbolism of the fall. The story of Safe Haven's fall is more than the prelude to war. It is the mythic origin of Aethera's eternal cycle. Hope built, shattered, and reborn through sacrifice. Crispus's death became legend. Lucille's abduction became prophecy. Samuel's grief became movement. Every event that followed, from the Citadel's construction to the resistance against Nimrod and the rise of fractured factions, can be traced back to this single night when love met ruin under fractured skies. Why players and investors should care. For players, this chapter defines the emotional and historical spine of the Aethera universe. Every mission, artifact, and alliance traces its lineage to the tragedy of Safe Haven. The echoes of Crispus's sacrifice and Lucille's abduction influence the power dynamics that shape gameplay and faction politics. For investors, the narrative anchors the entire ecosystem. The fall of Safe Haven is not just lore. It is the foundation for every economic and social system within the metaverse. It establishes the emotional gravity that keeps communities invested in the story's evolution and gives every future event a deeper significance. The legacy of the fracture. From the ashes of Safe Haven rose the age of survival. Apt built the Citadel. Samuel became Katsu. The rippings began to accelerate. And somewhere beyond the fractured veil, Lucille's resonance still echoes. A promise, a warning. A reminder that love and loss are the twin engines of human destiny. The world may have broken, but the story had only just